everything's gone. Straight ahead, never turn around. Don't back up, don't back down.
Welcome, I'm Randy Moore, the head football coach here at Hiram College, and I'd like to again welcome you to the Dog Pound Weekly. Today I have my guest Caleb Jones. Caleb's a senior running back from Lake Placid, Florida. Caleb, why don't you tell them a little bit about you?
My name is Caleb Jones. I'm from Lake Placid, Florida. It's like an hour south of Orlando. I'm a management major and an accounting minor here at Hiram, and just looking forward to playing more football.
There we go. Great young man. I went down into his home and visited with him and just fell in love with him and his aunt and his mom, and it's been a great 4 years of Caleb. When we first came to Hiram, in wintertime, Caleb didn't have a jacket, and we found an old North Face sitting at my house, and it kept him warm for the first winter, but I think he's learned to stay a little bit warmer during the winters here in Ohio as opposed to Lake Placid, Florida. What a great win, 20-0 over Allegheny College. I'd like to thank our coaches. They did a fantastic job. Mike Soltis of working with the special teams, David Price with the defense. It was the first defensive shutout in 159 games. Almost 16 years, Caleb, for the Hiram defense, and that was an outstanding win for that phase of it. On the offensive side, we ran the ball. If everybody can brace themselves and hear that correctly, we ran the ball for 287 yards, and Caleb had 197 of those yards and did a great job for us all day long. Caleb, what did you see, what did you feel was the difference in being able to run the football for you this Saturday? We barely had 197 yards rushing all year last year. What was there that hasn't been?
I feel like the overall drive to succeed from the offensive line all the way back to the receivers. You know what I mean? Everybody knew what the common goal was, and that was to win. And which was our game plan, was to run the ball, so we knew we had to run the ball. Right. So I feel like everybody was working towards that one goal to run the ball.
Sure. So. And I think a big difference, too, is Coach Stanford. Coach Stanford's done a great job of putting together a formula week in and week out that's going to allow us to be successful. You know, we suffered a loss at quarterback with Rob Partridge. George Blake comes in this week, and the whole game plan completely changed from one week to the next with George being in our quarterback, and George executed it great, and Coach Stanford put together a great game plan. When we talk about Allegheny, that was the first win Hiram had since 1983 at Allegheny or against Allegheny College. It had been a long, long time since we had won at Allegheny, and our players did a great job. Some of the players of the game on the offensive side of the football, we typically do an offensive line player of the week. We do a skill team player of the week. The offensive line player of the week was the whole offensive line to rush the ball for 287 yards. Everybody played well in the run game up front, and so our whole offensive line was awarded that recognition. The skill player of the game was George Blake. I actually gave him a game ball. It's the first time he's made it through a game completely healthy since he's been here. And he managed the offense. And he made plays when he needed to make plays, whether it was with his arm or with his feet. He did a great job. On the defensive side of the football, Garrett Primer had 3+ sacks on the afternoon, had 9 tackles, did a great job. So he was our defensive line player of the game. And then our skill player of the game was Andrew Torres. For the second week in a row, he stepped up, made a great play in the end zone to keep them from scoring on a drive. And then our overall player of the game was Caleb Jones. And Caleb was also one of those 2 student athletes chosen as Terrier of the Week, an award given by our Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And the other young lady who got this award was Hiram Moore. She's no relation, but she's a volleyball player, and they had a sweep over the weekend also and did a great job. Greg Klasurik was our special teams player of the week. He kicked 2 field goals, 2 extra points, accounted for 8 points. He put 2 balls, one almost out of the end zone, the other one in the end zone, and has been a big factor in why we continue to improve in our kicking and specialist teams at Hiram. As I take a look at this week coming up, we have Worcester College at homecoming this weekend. Worcester is a very good football team. Defensively, they're small, but they're fast, and they really do a good job of pursuing and getting to the football. Offensively, they probably have the most talented quarterback in the conference, Barnes, and he's a great athlete. He's a good thrower. He's a good quarterback, and they're dangerous. They beat Oberlin College 39-21 last weekend. They lost to WJ pretty bad the first game, and but they're primed and set. And he was our NCAC Player of the Week. Barnes was this last weekend instead of Caleb, which I still dispute. But he's coming off a great game and coming in and ready to do some good things. Some things that we want to point out against Worcester: we haven't won a homecoming game since 2001 here at Hiram. It's been a point of emphasis for us since the game was over with on Saturday. We also had, it's been 1989 is the last time that we beat Worcester. And, there's been some really poor performances by Hiram College against Worcester that we're ready to turn around and get going in our direction. And we feel like this weekend is a weekend to get that started. The homecoming game starts at 1 o'clock. There'll be tailgating that the Gridiron Club will put together that begins at 11 o'clock. And there will be a big crowd, an excited crowd. We want to invite our alumni back for the game. We want to make sure that any parents that are out there are at the game. And we also want to ask the parents. We are doing more with 50-50s and program sales. We're doing a golf ball contest later on during the course of the year, more tailgating. We really need help for the Gridiron Club to get more people to volunteer to sell programs, to sell 50-50 tickets, and be involved in the tailgating. They provide food for our players after the games, and they do a lot of different fun things. It's a great group of parents and alumni in that Gridiron Club, but we would still love to have more folks there. Again, the kickoff is at 1 o'clock. Tailgating will start at around 11 o'clock. And set up for the tailgating will probably start somewhere between 9:30 and 10. I'd also like to invite our recruits out to the game on Saturday. If we're going to send this out to recruits, probably I think Coach Baldessar said that we were sending this out to about 5,000 recruits. So if you're one of those 5,000 that lives within, a couple hours, 3 hours, or heck, if you want to come in from California for the weekend, just let us know. We'd love to have you here this weekend and see something where we take another step in the direction that our program's going right now, which is definitely in a positive direction. Again, thanks Jeff Haight. Thanks to our coaches. Thanks to our players. It was a lot of fun ringing that bell.
Yes, sir.
And let's make that more of a habit. Go Dogs.